This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everybody. It's 6:04 p.m. and we will get going with our P&Z meeting for April 1st,
She's trying to get your
2025.
attention.
Oh, it's on. Can y'all not hear me? Okay, I'll get closer. Let's call the meeting to order. It's about 6:04 p.m. Can we get a roll call, please?
Chair Aguilar,
Present.
Commissioner Lassard,
Does it normally go through here?
Commissioner Henderson,
Here,
Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Holman,
Present.
Commissioner Lassard,
Present. Present.
thank you. You can go ahead and mute again. Commissioner Gilmore,
This is Alicia Gilmore.
thank you. We have all 6 commissioners present, 2 online.
Thank you. Okay, for anybody who's going to be in the public or anybody who will be giving testimony today, we need to get you sworn in. Could you please stand? Place your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty or perjury? Thank you. You may be seated. You have Commissioners, you have an agenda presented before you. Take a second to review, and I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
second.
Can I get a motion to?
Motion.
Thank you. I got a motion from Commissioner Holman and a second from Commissioner Henderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All against? Motion passes. You have the minutes for the March 4th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting presented to you. If you've already had time to review, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Which one? Who's online? I think that was Jana.
Please identify yourself online.
That was Jana.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
I got a motion from Commissioner Lassard and a second from Commissioner Gutierrez. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. We will start quickly with other business, an update on City of Roswell Comprehensive Master Plan by Able City Team.
Hi, members. How are you?
Good evening.
Fine, thank you.
Perfect. So we're going to get started with just a quick presentation to introduce who we are and what we plan to do. I do apologize for the little overlap here. There's some technology issues, so we tried to fix it, but it just wasn't really working out. So we're just going to start off with a quick introduction. My name is Victoria Chavez. I work with Able City along with my colleagues over here with Carlos Ganinar and Afonso Camacho. So with Able City, we have some experience. With 40 years, we have 30 plus employees. We've written a variety of code rewrites and planning and zoning projects. We specialize in urbanism, architecture, economic development, and city making. Some of our projects that we've worked on is throughout Texas and mostly with cities bordering with Mexico, and then also some in New Mexico as well. looking at some of the comprehensive plans that we've worked on is Clint, we have Loretto, El Paso, Mission Trail, and Del Rio. And again, just looking at more of our team, as you can tell, it's not all of us is here, but this is going to be everyone that will be working on our project as we move forward. Some of the stuff that we've done is public outreach, some stakeholder meetings. We teach the people in a sense of different activities, of aspects of what is a subdivision or how does a code rewrite affect them. We also do some designing in public spaces, getting community aspects and input, seeing how would a park change for them in a sense. So going more into what is a comprehensive master plan. I'm hoping you guys kind of already have a good census of it, but just to give a quick overview is this really guides how Roswell should grow. It also shapes the future with aspects of roads, parks, and the neighborhoods. We try to help businesses and attract some investments. We try to ensure that infrastructure is up to date and that we try to identify any existing conditions or shortcomings to see how we can fix that and have better growth. And most of all, we really try to reflect the community's inputs and visions. So these are just some of the topics that are covered. We'll go more into it, but it's just basic with housing, economic development, urban design, some parks, recreation, transportation. Again, it's going to be a little distorted, but people that get affected is our city leaders and staff, some developers and businesses, residents. Even as you guys work as the Planning and Zoning Commission, we know you guys are faced daily while you go up here. What is best for our city? How should we move on with these types of developments or proposed projects that are presented to you? So we do look at some statistics and some existing conditions in Roswell. So for example, we have the population trends and projections. We have like the population pyramid and even comparisons between certain characteristics of your population. We try to look at the medium housing value, some homeownership and renters. We even look for economic development for what is the industry's workforce, who are your largest employers, and what's your unemployment rate. And I'm sure you guys are very well versed of your zoning map. With this, it shows us exactly what is the guidance of where your city is growing and how, if there is any shortcomings or things that might need to be changed, is there anything that contradicts each other? We do, like I said earlier, a lot of community engagement. One of the big things coming up that I want to put on your guys' calendar is our 5-day charrettes. This is going to be in May, the 12th through the 16th. This is an all-day open house charrette. We would love for the public to come in. It's from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. People can drop by anytime. It's interactions with our planning team and being able to give some input. We have specific activities, some lectures, and really we're able to create and highlight some things for the community that they're looking for. So it's going to be a really great activity that we have set out. We also have a steering committee, just like yourself. We have a steering committee to help guide us. And these are people who are very involved with the community. They're part of staff. They are part of, as residents, business owners. And we really want them to pretty much guide how this plan should go, being the voice for the people as we meet with them a little bit more regularly than we do with the public when we do our community outreach. So as of right now, this project timeline is already started back in January. And with that, we started with some data collection and analysis. Right now in April, we're doing that kickoff community engagement, which will be here today, tomorrow, and Thursday, having some stakeholder meetings tomorrow and our community presentation as well. Everyone is welcome to come. That'll be 5 to 7. We have our 5-day charrette, and then some planned development in the summer and fall, community engagement round 3 in the fall, and then this plan should be aimed to finish in the winter. So it's a 12-month project timeline. And with that, I'll leave the floor open. If you guys have any questions or comments for me, I'll be happy to answer for you. Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
As far as your steering committee is, and I know Meredith, we talked a little bit about that earlier. Are you still looking for people?
I mean, We are full, actually.
You are
so-
full. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you do have a full committee already.
Yes. We were able to come up. Meredith has been a big help with finding everyone for me,
She knows everyone here.
hasn't she? Perfect. Any
Okay.
other questions?
Commissioners, any other questions?
Yes.
No.
Welcome to Roswell. Has the Able City had the time or had the opportunity to review our last master plan?
Yes, we did the 2016
Mm-hmm.
master plan. Yes, we have. And we do look into some considerations that they put in there. What has the city done with the recommendations that have been put forth? For example, one of the land use recommendations was adding a mixed use district. And I did see there is a mixed use plaza district and then also a tiny homes. But then there's other shortcomings that might not be as applicable as it was back in the day. And so we want to kind of not be exactly where they're going towards. We want to see what are the current shortcomings right now and where the city wants to grow in the future, since that idea always changes.
Well, as a member of planning and zoning, I would have an interest in your comments about that study
Yeah.
and a critique of where we've failed and where we've done well. And typically those things kind of go on the shelf. And hopefully this one for Able City won't do that, but we can have it as an active guide. But I would just like to have your comments on that master plan.
Yeah, of course. We can give a more detailed one. I can have it more written out if you like and send it to you. I can have your information and I can work with you for that. But yeah, I do agree that it should be a guiding principle and something as a way we're looking forward is the main thing is implementation. I get that was the downfall. We usually do these master plans, they go on the shelf and it just collects dust. So the main point that we want to find is what are actionable action items that the city can do, either short term, medium term, or long term. What what is it going to cost the city? Who is in charge of implementing these action items? So that's going to be one of the biggest focus for this upcoming plan. So I appreciate it. I will get that to you though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
others?
I think that's all. Thank you so
All right,
much.
appreciate
This
it so much.
Well, this is Councilor Alicia Gilmore. Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just curious about other cities that you guys have worked on and the type of implementations that have greatly helped them that we can look into doing here. I'm just curious about, where you guys have been and that kind of thing, because I'm very excited about what's to come.
All right, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Carlos.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carlos Gallinata. I'm also with Able City and happy to be here in your beautiful city of Roswell. We're based in El Paso, and so we took a 3-hour drive this morning to get here, not too far from you. And so, again, as Victoria mentioned, excited to get started on the process, excited to get to know each other, excited to look at some of your past plans. But then, as Victoria mentioned, what are some new ideas, new technologies, new implementable strategies that we can look at for your town. To Ms. Gilmore's question, I hope that you can hear me. Sometimes what happens with plans is that they tend to, as they should, right? They have big ideas, they have beautiful vision for your town, as it should, because this is laying out the groundwork for your community for the next 20 to 25 years. And so, number one, want to make sure that we reiterate to the public and to people that are going to be using the plan that this is a long-term vision. And so, what we'll be able to do is give you short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategies and goals and objectives to implement. But also, what I want to reiterate is that many times the sort of the gut check is to look at these things and say, man, they're going to cost a lot of money. And some of them will cost a lot of money. Let's not pretend that they won't, right? But that's also part of what a city does. A city creates a vision for the residents. A city creates visions for themselves. I've been doing this for a while, and I always keep in mind my children, my two teenage kids, right? We met with Jessica this morning, and she told me about Sophie. And so, for someone like her and other families in Roswell, the idea is to create this really beautiful vision, not for us folks, right? But if we're thinking about the next 20, 25 years, it's for the Sophies of Roswell. So, number one, yes, some of these are going to cost money. Some of these are going to be big ticket items, grand plans and visions. But some of these, just to speak to the implementable aspect of it, some of these are also things that you could codify. And so we're not sure what those are yet, right? But something like a landscaping code, right? If we drive down Roswell and we want to beautify your built environment, or we want to do some infill redevelopment in parts of your downtown or some of your older historic districts or historic neighborhoods, we drove around today and we saw that there's some parcels that have been left over, right? Those don't necessarily cost a lot of money. They just need to have the policies, the codes, the legal language that facilitates development in a way that it makes it easier, not harder, for developers or for property owners to start going down the path of redeveloping their parcels. So those are just some sort of bullet points that we would think through. One final consideration, Victoria showed the image of El Paso. So we worked on the Plan El Paso plan about 10 years ago. The image that she showed at the top, I'm not sure if I could go back, Victoria. The image that she showed at the top is the rendering that came out of that plan. The image at the bottom is the actual construction of San Jacinto Plaza. If you've been to El Paso recently, we've done a really great job with our downtown. There was a lot of strategic thinking through what we want El Paso's downtown to look like. And so that the San Jacinto Plaza rendering was developed in 2012. The San Jacinto Plaza today, that's a picture taken not too long ago, but that was implemented in 2017, 2018. Now, there is a caveat that was done. I mean, one of this, probably premature right now, but one of the things that a community can look at is, remember, the comprehensive plan is setting forward your vision, your guidelines, your objectives, the things that you want to get done. El Paso at that time in 2012, after the comprehensive plan was adopted, they went ahead and did a quality of life bond. Again, not suggesting that that's what we're going to do for Roswell, right? Because we recognize that finances and taxes are something that we shouldn't take lightly. But at that time, the city of El Paso did say, hey, we're going to take some of these goals and objectives and some of the big ticket items from the comprehensive plan and finance it ourselves. And so they took it out to the voters, overwhelmingly support for it. And so that's one other strategy. Again, please don't mischaracterize what I'm saying. It's too premature for us to give that recommendation for Roswell, but that is one tool that some cities have utilized. So a little long-winded, but I hope that I answered your question.
Yes, thank you. I'm very excited to hear more ideas on how we can make Roswell better and for the future. So I apologize that I couldn't make it in. My kid got sick, and we just changed our meeting dates, and so I had a long week. So I apologize, but I'm very excited about Able City, and I'm grateful for your hard work.
Thank you, ma'am. Really appreciate it. And there'll be other opportunities for you to get involved.
Good partner is keep Roswell beautiful, and Main Street, Roswell. They've done a lot of work over the years in an effort to preserve our downtown. We have that railroad district and metropolitan district, and somewhere or another we need to weave all of this together to try to preserve our downtown area.
Yes, sir.
And I'll be in El Paso at the end of this month. I'll look at your plaza.
Yes, please
I'm
do.
down there for Rotary.
Oh, wonderful.
Rotary has their conference.
Oh, great.
there.
That's wonderful to hear. Downtown? Great. If you haven't been to El Paso in a long time, you'll be pleasantly surprised at
Yeah.
what the effort that
I
we
like El Paso.
Thank you so much. Again, if there's any other questions, thank you all for having us, and we look forward to getting to know each other and spending some time here over the next 12 months.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Any questions or comments of staff to add to that? I think we're good. Okay, moving on. All right, moving on to item G, public hearing items. So I am introducing case CUP 25-0006, request for approval of a conditional use permit for an in-home child care for up to 12 children at 603 South Mississippi in R1 residential. Ms. Hildreth, you have something for us?
Good evening, Chair Aguilar, Commissioners.
Good
The
evening.
intent of the applicant's petition for a zoning case CUP-25-0006 is a request for approval of a conditional use permit for in-home child care for up to 12 children at 603 South Mississippi Avenue in R1 residential. This slide shows the zoning map. The property under consideration with the star is in R1. It has an existing in-home childcare, a minor home occupation for up to 6 children presently. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a major home occupation for an in-home childcare for up to 12 children. And the property on the west side of Mississippi is a childcare center with a special use permit in the R3 zoning district. Mississippi is a local street as well. These are staff photos of the property under consideration for the conditional use permit. As you can see, there's solid fences in the front. The maximum is 4 feet tall for solid fences. And I've talked to the property owner and applicant about coming into compliance with those fences. And Ms. Chavez is here to talk to you in a little bit. And she said that they would work with me on getting the proper permitting and the proper fencing. They could also do a see-through, like a chain link, up to 6 feet per our code. So we want them to come into compliance with that ordinance. And then if there's a storage shed on a lot that's adjacent to the lot with the home, it's all under one ownership. If they use that storage shed and convert it to a childcare area or add a new building on that lot, they'll need to consolidate their lots into one lot. The comprehensive master plan shows this area is residential, also very contiguous to a commercial area as well, like a commercial corridor on Sunset. They, like again, they're on Mississippi, but near this commercial area. Also in a mixed density corridor infill redevelopment opportunities area per the 2016 master plan. As of today's date, the Planning and Zoning Office has received 0 written protests, 0 verbal protests, 0 inquiries for zoning case CUP-25-0006. In your packet, I added the application from the applicant who applied in our new portal. And so I'm getting used to the new portal. And so this piece was missing, so I had them send that to me. And that's on page 14 or so, before page 15 of your packet. Oh, there was also an RV in the photos, and they said that they were working on removing that RV as well from the property. The findings of fact, conclusions of law include a notice of the time and place of the public hearing for this case was published in the Roswell Daily Record at least 15 days prior to the date of this hearing. Notifications of the public hearing were mailed via a certified mail with return receipt requested to the property owners within 100 feet. The agenda has been posted for over 72 hours. The property under consideration is within the jurisdiction of the City of Roswell. Planning and Zoning Commission has jurisdiction to review this application and render a final decision. The property under consideration is not located within a flood hazard zone designated by FEMA. City of Roswell Zoning Ordinance Article 62, Home Occupations, regulates minor and major home occupations, including group daycare homes for children. Granting a conditional use permit for the major home occupation for in-home childcare for up to 12 children is allowed per the zoning ordinance. Since this is a conditional use, the Planning and Zoning Commission may stipulate conditions in the motion. And granting a conditional use permit for the major home occupation for in-home childcare for up to 12 children is not contrary to the public interest. So we're asking the commission, based on land use and zoning considerations, findings of fact, conclusions of law, regulations established in the zoning ordinance, materials provided, and testimony received, to make a motion and vote on case CUP-25-006. And the Planning and Zoning Commission may add conditions of approval to the motion. I stand for questions, as does staff.
Commissioners, do we have any questions of Ms. Hildreth?
This is Jana. I don't have any questions.
This is
this is Councilor Gilmore. I have a question, Commissioner Gilmore. I have a question about if there is any. Do they need to be certified in CPR? Do they need certifications, that type of thing, in order to run this type of facility?
Commissioner Gilmore, Chair Aguilar, the state regulates these in-home daycares. They have to fill out a lot of paperwork, get a site inspection, et cetera, from the state CYFD.
Thank you.
Oh, and Miss Regina Chavez said that she has her CPR certification.
I guess, is there a formula on the amount of children you can place within a given space on a building? In other words, is there a formula for
Commissioner
all of that?
Commissioner Henderson, the state regulates that. So the state will, they conduct a site review, and they do have a formula, as I understand it.
This is Commissioner Gilmore. So they've gone through state processes to get to this point, and state regulations to get to this point. It's not just like opening a daycare one day, just deciding I'm going to have a daycare. They actually have a lot a lot of steps in order to get to this point. Is that correct?
Chair Aguilar, Commissioner Gilmore, yes. If you'll, in the zoning packet on page 28, there's a zoning verification letter that our staff wrote in 2023 for the child care for up to 6 children at this location. So this is part of the application packet, that this is a requirement for their application packet to the state. So if this case passes, I will draft a new letter for them for citing the conditional use permit allowing up to 12 children if the commission approves this case.
Yes, as part of the conditional use, we can stipulate additional requirements such as the updating of the fence to code and the removal of the RV before we move forward with the CUP.
Chair Aguilar, Commissioner Holman, yes, that's correct. Those can be conditions of approval, and I won't issue the letter until those conditions are met.
This is Commissioner Gilmore. Is there cameras in the areas where children are dropped off and taken care of?
Cameras?
Yes. Is there any cameras in the facility? I'm just wondering.
Should we wait for,
Ask her to come.
Yeah, can we have
yeah,
her?
why don't we get
Excuse
her on the
me.
record maybe perhaps, and then we can ask her some questions.
Okay. So
Any other questions of,
I'll let, excuse me. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
Chair Aguilar, I'm sorry. Commissioner Gilmore, Ms. Chavez will come up and speak, and then if you have questions of her that she can ask directly, we can do that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
I just have one real quick question for you, Meredith. So any, whatever stipulations the state has, there won't be a permit issued to her until all those are met. And whatever we stipulate here, you won't issue a letter of, a zoning letter, right? Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, Chair Aguilar. I will make sure that they have completed their conditions of approval, such as replacing the fence, removing the RV, whatever you decide, and in your motion, please add. Until those are met, I'll conduct a site visit, and then I will write the zoning letter, the verification letter for them.
Thank you. Any other questions of Ms. Hildreth?
With the conditions that the fence needs to be resized in terms of the height, is there any other site conditions that may prove to be problematic with the site? Has there been an evaluation of the site to see if indeed it is appropriate for such a in-home occupation?
Chair Aguilar, Commissioner Gutierrez, like I said, the state does conduct a visit, and they regulate the site. We regulate the zoning,
Right. And they'll have the final say regardless.
and the city engineer may have some additional comments.
Good evening, Chairman, Commission.
Good evening.
When I reviewed this case, that's when the conditions that I saw that they were out of compliance with their fence and the auxiliary structure on a single lot within an R1. So I brought those up. Also the fence. So to answer Commissioner Gutierrez's question on conditions, typically what I like to see is sidewalk, and I don't see sidewalk there for the kids to be dropped off and, dry access into the house. The last case that we had similar to this was on Washington, South Washington, just north of Hobbs. Of course, that's all curb and gutter and sidewalk. So that's what I look at, how they're going to drop them off, how they're going to walk from the car, and that kind of stuff. So I agree, a site condition, which has been described by Meredith, when you guys seem aware of, I would also request some sidewalk be built for the kids, because if you notice the pictures, that's more or less an old gravel road. There's no curb and gutter. If you want to know the proximity of it, everybody knows where the football fields are for the youth. This is if you take the shortcut, I call it a shortcut, and you go east and not take the road, you just take the parking lot and catch that alley. Well, that alley, part of it's Mississippi, so it's kind of a undeveloped street.
Does the city have jurisdiction to enforce putting in a sidewalk there? Is that?
I would think we do have jurisdiction, but I don't know what the state's going to say. But most of the other cases we have across the street on Mississippi, that one on the corner that used to be a church, we did have them put some hard parking because they needed hard parking over there. And this one it's got a little bit of pavement, but I think sidewalk would suffice just along the strip where they're going to drop them off and then they can walk into the house.
Is there a certain amount of feet of sidewalk that you would?
I
need
would
to
probably say what would be the existing lot where the fence is at. So it'd be the north portion of there's two lots there. The north lot would be the one with sidewalk and then the entrance. Because if you look at the pictures, that's where the front door is at.
Not from fence to fence. You're
Not from fence to fence, because actually
Just where
they're building over two
dropping
lots
off.
right now. They're in
Okay.
non-conformance with that.
Mhm. Do they need to do that before anything else happens, or you make those two lots into one?
I think that was part of the recommendations on the packet.
Well, with the auxiliary structure.
Mm-hmm.
As I read the packet, I saw that as one of the conditions. Come into compliance, and then we'll support you.
Any other questions of Mr. Nahar?
No.
Meredith, do we agree with that? That's a compliance issue. The auxiliary structure has to be removed, or they have to be replatted as one lot?
Chair Aguilar, Commissioner Holman, I did look back at aerials. That structure has been there since at least 2014, before my time. I don't know if it was permitted or not at the time. The code has changed a little bit, so we want lot consolidations. Since I've been here, that the code changed a little bit in Article 52, stipulating lot consolidation. And Ms. Chavez can probably tell you more about their plans as they expand their facility. I noticed they have a circular driveway sort of around the tree there as well. So I don't know how they drop off and so forth. I did see a car parked in front of the fence of the secondary lot when I was over there taking pictures.
Why don't we hear from Ms. Chavez, and then we can come back to staff if we need to. Those in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case CUP 25-0006, please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Regina Iglesias, or Chavez Iglesias,
Can I get your address, please?
South Mississippi,
One more time.
603 South Mississippi.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So we are planning, or we're wanting to open up or expand our program to up to 12 children. We don't plan on using the shed area. That's just for storage. We're not using that. The children will be into our home, and the reason for that is because I don't want to be over compliance if I get an inspection. Right now I have I'm okay where I'm at, but I do have one extra child, and that's my own child. That makes me over capacity, and so I don't want to lose my license for my child. And then I have a mom that's also expecting, so when she brings me her second baby, I don't want to be over compliance because of the second baby. And as far as the fence goes, we have that for our privacy for our children and now the little ones, because around our area, many of you know that there's Mesa Verde. We get a lot of people that are constantly walking back and forth. So that's the reason we did our fence the way that we did, for our children's safety. We didn't know that it needed to be the chain link, or this was our fault for not looking into it more. And we didn't know that it needed to be less than the height that it is. And as far as the sidewalk and the drop off and pickup, the parents drive into our area, like Miss Meredith said, that we have like a circular type of driveway, and it's graveled. So our parents drive in, and we have the parking on the second lot that we usually park our vehicles. So there is space for them to drive in, the parents, and we have our walkway to our front door. So there's like no mud or anything that the children are getting into or anything. And then as far as like our safety of our yard, we do get that inspected and it's passed, you know, or else I wouldn't be able to take care of the children. And I do have cameras on the outside. I don't have any in the inside. Um, what else was mentioned? The RV, we are planning on scrapping it. But we do plan on keeping the trailer, but that'll be separate and the other lot will store it there. But it won't stay where it's at. We've already been talking about that. Um, what else? I guess that's it from what I can remember of what was asked or what was mentioned. So if y'all have any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
Do you have an area outdoors that that the children will be utilizing as a play area, or that's developed as such?
Yes, sir. I have my backyard. I have a little playground, one of those ones you buy from Sam's. I have one of those back there, and I did mulch around it, and I did do we did put the safety stuff around it and stuff. So it's up to code as far as state says. So
Any other questions, commissioners? I have a quick question.
This is
Oh, go ahead.
you first.
Okay, just a quick question. Does the state require sidewalks, or they have not mentioned anything now that you have as far as for the home occupation for childcare? They've never
No.
requested sidewalks.
No, sir, they haven't. Just as we've been approved, the way y'all have seen my area, that's we've been approved for it. So we do have
Okay.
gravel again, throughout both lots, for the mud and all that mess that comes with dirt and stuff.
Thank you. Go ahead on the phone.
This is Commissioner Gilmore. I was just curious if the back play area, is that also have a camera as well?
Yes, we have cameras in the back and on the side and in the front of the house.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioners, nope. Okay. Any other questions or comments of staff? Community development?
This is Commissioner again. The backyard, that's fenced separately from the parking area. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner, I have some concern over the sidewalk that Lewis is requesting and whether or not we can actually request that. Wanna...
Can you?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission. So City Code Section 2215 provides that residents must maintain and keep sidewalks in good order. That ordinance then says that the construction of sidewalks is governed by the building code. The building code itself only applies to new constructions or constructions that are more than 50% of the value of the property. So I would want to look at it further, but unless you're building more than 50%, adding more 50% value, then I don't think we can, the code does not explicitly require sidewalks.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Gilmore on the phone. I have one more question. Do you guys feed the children, and do you guys have to have your food handler safety type of thing in order to do that, or how does that work?
Yes, ma'am. I feed my children. I feed them 2 main meals, breakfast and lunch, and I do give them. I'm required 1 snack, but I do give them 2 snacks. And everything is
as regulations require.
Thank you. Just one last question. Yeah, so then going back to your original presentation, you're not trying to get 12 kids in here. This is more so that you're in compliance with the 6 or 7 that you're, or including your own. Is your goal to ultimately grow to 12 kids or
If it leads to it, then yes, but right now my main concern is that I'm not
to
out of
be in compliance?
compliance. And then, if, like I said, if it leads to it, I did have to just this between last week and this week, I've had to turn down 3 parents because I don't have the capacity for them.
Thank you.
Would you have to add square footage to have capacity for 12 kids, or are you sized properly for 12 kids now?
We're allowed up to 2 rooms, so I can use another portion of my house in the future if need be. I would like to do an addition to my home for the daycare, but that's in the future because we don't have the finances for it, obviously. Or, well, not
Mhm.
obviously, but we don't have the finances for it, and then that's just in the future plans.
This is Commissioner Gilmore. I'm just curious, how do you separate your personal space in the home from the childcare?
Well, that's a easy but a tough one. So when I made my home available, I made it available to them too. So right now, my living area is still my living area, but it's also my welcome area. So I receive the children, and then I have a little section off of my living room slash kitchen. I have like an open floor plan, so we have an area kind of not walled, but kind of blocked off for the children to have their sleep and play and stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of Ms. Travis? All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case CUP 25-0006? There are none. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition of case CUP 25-0006 or who have questions or concerns? Online, nobody, I believe. Okay. I will call for a motion.
Based on the land use and zoning considerations, findings of facts, conclusions of law surrounding land usage, regulations established in the zoning ordinance, materials presented, and testimony received, I would motion to approve CUP 25-0006 with the following conditions of bringing their existing fence to code, working with planning and zoning to get that done, and the removal of the RV.
Anything on the lots?
Second.
We need to do anything on the lots or no? Okay. I have a motion from Commissioner Holman, and I believe that was Commissioner Lassard.
Commissioner Lassard.
Commissioner Lassard. To approve CUP-25-0006 with a condition of getting fencing into compliance and the removal of the RV. All in flavor. I'm hungry. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Congratulations, ma'am. And Meredith, you can just get with them and see what needs to happen there. Okay, moving on. You can stick around for the party or you can head on out. It's up to you. Okay, moving on. We have I'd like to introduce case VAC-25-0007, a request vacation of 9th Street, 60 feet wide public right-of-way from North Main Street to North Virginia Avenue, and vacate adjacent north and south alleys from 8th Street to south of 9th Street.
South of 10th Street, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
South of 10th Street, I'm
south
sorry.
of 10th Street. Apologies. From 8th Street to south of 10th Street from public right-of-way and convert to a 25-foot public utility and reciprocal access easements for infill development in the C2 community commercial and I1 light industrial zoning districts. I think I got all that right. Ms. Hildreth?
Thank you, Chair Aguilar, Commissioners. This case is for a request for vacation of 9th Street and adjacent north and south alleys for infill development. This slide shows the zoning of the area. The area is in yellow, and it's about 2 blocks long and from Main Street all the way over to Virginia with an alley in between. The zoning is C2 for some of the lots and I1 light industrial for some of the lots on the east side of the alley. And these are in commercial and industrial corridors. This is a conceptual rendering for the infill development for a service lane on 9th Street by Smith Engineering Company. Scott Hicks with Smith Engineering is here in the audience this evening if you have questions of him. These are staff photos looking east from Main Street at 9th Street and Roswell Ford properties on the north and south of East 9th Street. And looking east from Main Street at 9th Street and northeast along North Main Street. These are photos from the other side from Virginia looking west at East 9th Street and adjacent Rhodes Building, Rhodes Company on the south side of East 9th and Roswell Ford properties on the north and south. And this is from 9th Street looking toward the alley. You're also seeing some of the Ford property on the north side of 9th Street there, closest to Virginia Avenue. This is a look at the alley looking south from 9th Street toward 8th Street between the Rhodes Company and Roswell Ford buildings. And then the last photo is looking from 8th Street north toward 9th Street down the alleyway. The blue fence is the Ford fence where the car lot is and also their building for their sales. And then the gray fence or white fence is the Rhodes property, their truck and equipment yard. This slide shows the excerpt of preliminary East 9th Street right-of-way vacation replat by Smith Engineering, also Exhibit F in your packet. This is a graphic by Smith Engineering showing in the yellow the 9th Street right-of-way, in the blue the alley rights-of-way. And the alley will be, they're requesting a vacation of the alley, but converting that alleyway to utility and access easements. This is an excerpt from the 2016 Comprehensive Master Plan Preferred Land Use Scenario Map showing the properties under consideration with a star. As you can see, it's next to the striped area, which is at this time, the proposed Railroad District MRA or the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area. In your packet, I did give a map showing the Railroad District. I think I did. Oh, I think it's in the appendix or in, see, it's an exhibit. The resolution is 20-23 and it's on page 71, 72, 73, toward the end of the packet. And so the property is in the railroad district, not just next to it. It's actually in the metropolitan redevelopment area. This is the FEMA floodplain map, and the properties on the north side of 9th Street and a little portion of 9th Street toward Main Street intersection are in the AH flood zone. And of course, during the major flood we just had in October, the whole area was inundated. As of today's date, the Planning and Zoning Office has received 0 written protest letters, 0 verbal protests, and 1 inquiry for zoning case VAC-25-0007. And I'm going to go ahead and read the this is going to be a bit. So we've got legal standards on page 42. Do I need to read the legal standards? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so there's legal standards there. I want to point that out. And then also at the very end, your very last page, this is and Exhibit K is Article 7 of Ordinance 24-03, amending Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code. Article 7 deals with real property transactions. So I'll give you a second to read over that. And then I'm sure there'll be a little bit more discussion on that in a minute. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and read the findings of fact and conclusions of law. The notice of the time and place of the public hearing for this case was published in the Roswell Daily Record at least 15 days prior to the date of this hearing. Notifications of the public hearing were mailed via certified mail with return receipt requested to property owners of record within 100 feet of the area under consideration, excluding public rights of way. This agenda, which includes this case, has been posted at City Hall and on the City of Roswell's website for over 72 hours as required by state law. The property under consideration is currently within the jurisdiction of the City of Roswell, New Mexico. Roswell Planning and Zoning Commission has jurisdiction to review this application and forward a recommendation to City Council. City Council has jurisdiction to review this application and render a final decision. At the time of this writing, the Planning and Zoning Office received 0 written protests, 0 verbal, and 1 inquiry. Roswell Subdivision Code Ordinance 0-15-10, adopted August 6, 2015, Article 2, General Provisions, Section 4, Vacation of Plats. It tells about the procedure and the request for any such vacation. So it talks about the vacation of tracts. The vacation of any tract, parcel, or lot located in a subdivision or part thereof, or the vacation of any street, alley, or other public use may be initiated by the owner or owners of said tract, parcel or lot, or by the owner or owners immediately adjacent to said street, alley, or other public grounds. The request for any such vacation shall be submitted in the like manner as that for applications for minor subdivisions. So that's per the subdivision ordinance or subdivision code. And then I added Roswell Subdivision Code Ordinance Article 4, Subdivision Application Procedure and Approval, Section 3, Approval Process for the minor subdivision. So that is also right there in your packet on page 45. And then it talks about Planning and Zoning Commission review and hearing and City Council review and hearing. And then on the last page of Exhibit B, granting a vacation of East 9th Street would reduce the general public vehicular and employee customer pedestrian traffic conflicts between North Main Street and North Virginia Avenue. Granting a vacation of East 9th Street and the alleys for the purpose of infill development in the C2 community commercial and I-1 light industrial corridors is not contrary to the public interest, as 8th Street and 10th Street are both through streets providing east-west access. Some additional information has come to light since I wrote this, and so I'm sure that will be discussed a little bit. So I stand for questions, and you can make a recommendation to City Council with a motion and a vote after all the discussion is done. And then we do have 3 parties here. We have Scott Hicks with Smith Engineering, Toby Gross with TNT Construction, and Mr. Crumlin as well.
Perhaps hear from everybody before, or any questions of Meredith?
Meredith, considering, I have a 2-part question. Considering that this portion of the street would be vacated and it is in a flood zone, is there going to be any impact as a result of the service center obstructing that particular flow that goes through that area in both an inundation and traffic?
Chair Aguilar, Commissioner Gutierrez, as I see it on the rendering, the service lane, the actual little building there that will be through, the fire marshal has reviewed it. There's a bunch of letters in your packet. That's not in the flood zone, in the FEMA designated flood zone as of today. So it was flooded, but it's not in the flood zone. Just a small portion of 9th Street next to Main Street at the intersection area is in the flood zone. The property on the north side of 9th Street is in the flood zone. And Louis Nahar can answer more questions about flood stuff.
Okay. Just wondering if it would require a letter of minimal impact as a result for FEMA.
Is that all for me?
Anything else for Ms. Hildreth?
Well, I was just a point of clarification, just so that I'm understanding everything right. We're considering vacating that portion of 9th Street and the alleyways to then become real property that would be purchased by Ford for their use. Is that right?
That is some things up for discussion here, I think, by other staff.
Maybe let's get all the facts and we can ask all the questions. Is that fair? Okay. Are there any other direct questions for Ms. Hildreth? Commissioners? Nope. All right, moving on.
So I think there's, do you want to hear from staff first?
Yes.
Okay, so
please.
Ms. Vickers probably has some information for you, and Mr. Nahar as well, and possibly Mr. Itema.
Mr. Nahar.
Commissioners, staff. So what we're working under, and I'm gonna give you something to support the P&Z case, to support the planning subdivision code which we're under, and then also to support ordinance 2403, which was passed last year. So I wrote some remarks as city engineer. These are engineering remarks only to try to support all the policies that we have in place. Because now we have 2403, it all ties in with what we have now. You know, we'll go down it now.
Thank you.
Pretty simple. Got some pictures. Thanks, sir.
Mhm.
Okay, vacations and alleyway vacations, right-of-way vacations, they're always of particular interest and a little bit different. Each case is different, has its own personality. So that's why I'm coming up here, support. Just so you know, there's 2 other alley vacations that have been, that might come along if the other businesses come in. So this is good exercise to explain what's going on with the different ordinances. Let me give you a little past history. Buffalo Wild Wings. If you notice, we vacated that alley to make the driveway and everything through the alley. Because when that was brought to me, the original intent was to have a drive-through for, what is that, burger place?
Mhm.
So you're gonna have McDonald's and another business both trying to use the left turn lane to go into different businesses. Couldn't have that. So that's how come there's no entrances for Buffalo Wild Wings. And now the cannabis shop, it's all got to go into the alleys or to the side streets because I didn't want conflicting movements on Main Street, public safety. We did the same thing on an alley vacation, Roswell Lumber, Galbraith Lumber, where there used to be an alley there and they had their business and then they had like their warehouse towards the back. So as a matter of security, operational efficiency, they vacated the alley and they fenced it off. So we're doing very similar here. The request is very similar to that. And we haven't had no problems. I will say too that this was presented to the Roswell Utility Council May 18th. We had our bi-monthly meeting and this was presented to all the utilities and also you have their correspondence in the packet. So you go your letter, we'll just skip down to number 1 because the rest of it is explained in the packet. So existing 9th Street is centered in the operations of Roswell Ford. Right-of-way width extends from face to face of building. So look at that first picture that I presented to you. And you can see the property lines. So what used to be where you go into the service entrance and or that one building they did tore down where the car wash was at, that's the edge of the right-of-way. So basically, you know, 9th Street, because it was commercial, and a lot of the old commercial areas, buildings are built up to the property line. We've all seen that. We had the same situation Main Street. We had the same situation on 2nd Street in some places. So the existing 9th, item number 2, existing 9th has been primarily used for Roswell Ford for parking the vehicles being serviced and sold. So look at the rest of the pictures. I went down Google, took a trip down history in Google. March 2008, March 2013, November 2021. So basically, and you guys, I don't know how many of you drive Fords or had family or kids that you had to drop off over there. 9th Street was basically being used for Roswell Ford business. And the city had to maintain the pavement. And I've done some brick repairs over there, some curb repairs in there on 9th Street because it was public right of way. So item number 3, vacating 9th Street would remove the 9th from the responsibility of the maintenance from the streets department. such potholes. We get a lot of potholes, curb repair, brick paver repair, and other. 9th Street, I purposely did not put 9th Street on the mill and fill for the post 24 because I didn't want to pay for a mill and fill that might not be the city's anymore. That right there was, let me do another block somewhere else, but the mill and fill per present worth under ITB 25-001 saved me $38,000. I saved me, but that was the road fund. Okay. Similarly, the alley, with vacating the alley, I no longer have to send the crews over there to deal with the potholes. We used to get calls for the potholes behind the Roswell Ford. A lot of it is just water and drainage, so they'll have to maintain that drainage. So if they want it paved, then they get to maintain the potholes. Okay, so I'm in favor of taking the alley and 9th Street off of the inventory for the road fund. Okay, item number 5. The vacation process reverts the area back to real property, which is taxable revenue for the city and county. Okay. From a future planning perspective, the eastbound 9th Street dead ends at Virginia. So by taking away that 9th Street in east, you're not hurting any direction because all you have is the abandoned AWC track there. And if y'all been around petroleum, they might not pass the phase 1 environmental. Also, if you look on your packet, I believe on page 38, you can see a list of other things that I'm requesting the applicant, if they're successful, to do. I think when I look at the driveway, we might have to relocate a fire hydrant, page 38 of 75, paragraph 7. We might have to relocate that street light. Stop and street signs will be removed and neatly returned to the city street department. Any red brick removal will be removed neatly and brick stockpiled to the street department for future repair inventory. Drainage, that's the question, Commissioner Gutierrez. Drainage shall maintain existing patterns generally towards Virginia Avenue and Main Street. Because that lot should drain east and west, and we have storm drains in Virginia, right there next to the river. Fencing of the alleys is the developer has to assume the cost of the dead end signs, and it shall meet MUTCD. And then as for Abraham Chaparro, Director of City Roswell Solid Waste Access, they're going to have to, since there will no longer be trash pickup in the alley, they'll have to make provisions to get into the property for the trash pickup. Okay, so then back to my letter. So we're on. So on item number 7, we all know that this downtown area has a lot of homeless people. By having the alley blocked off, we wouldn't have them going down the alley, especially towards the Shell station. That Shell station does have business. So that would be, from a police alternative, they get to walk on the main streets and not be walking down the alley. Of course, the case packet had other stuff that we went over. I think the vacation of 9th Street and creation of alley easement is going to hopefully boost prosperity of Roswell Ford, because when they're prosperous and all the businesses are prosperous in Roswell, it helps our Roswell gross receipts tax as well. And then the recent 2024 flood event. I don't know about the Roswell Convention Center and the museum, so it would be nice to have something new in that neighborhood or improved in that neighborhood.
Yep.
And then in closing, this is the engineering recommendation. Vacation of 9th Street and creation of an alley easement as requested in case PZ case VAC 25-7. Current 9th Street use is not an essential street nor needed for municipal purposes. Vacation of 9th and creation of an alley easement will ease the fiscal burden and the liability of the municipality of Roswell, New Mexico. So I think I answered your drainage questions, how engineering looks at it, and how engineering has to take each case of a roadway vacation or an alley vacation and look at a lot of other things besides just the property. Case in point, Buffalo Wild Wings and McDonald's. You do not want two businesses like that playing in what's an old school terminology in the suicide zone.
Playing chicken.
Yep. And I stand for any questions.
Thank you for that in-depth explanation and study. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Nahar?
Louis, as I understand it, there's no sewer in those alleys.
No, sir. And the alley is not being vacated. We're not vacating the utilities. We're vacating basically the drive-through part of it. There's easement. This is going to become a utility easement. The very same thing happened over there at Roswell Lumber. We did not relocate the XL. We did not relocate the sewer. We did not relocate New Mexico Gas. We did not relocate CenturyLink. Same thing is over here. And I think you have the addition of Plateau with a fiber line. But all the existing alleys, the utilities will remain in service. As you read in the packet, the fire department has had Knox boxes to get inside to put out a fire. Same thing with the utility people. We have to respond. We have to be able to get in there, whether there's a sewer leak, a gas leak, or anything else. 3 years ago, we did rebuild the sewer line because it was leaking from right behind where the car wash used to be all the way to the Chevron station, or just to the manhole right there north of the Chevron station. But none of the utilities are being relocated. As I stated, March 18th, this was presented to the Roswell Utility Council. Roswell Utility Councils, we meet bi-monthly and go over all the projects that all the utilities are going. So that wouldn't do anything as far as the access to that. They still have to, they can't build on it. The alley, they cannot build on it. The alley easement or the utility easement now, they cannot build on it. All they can do is they can block it off, but they can't build on it.
Thank you.
Makes sense. Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioners? On the phone?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Nahar. All right, moving on. You ready?
Good evening, Commissioners. So in order for the Commission to be able to approve the plat in the case presented, there are conditions that must be met. For the approval of any plat involving a vacation, the plats and vacations can be effected only by a substantial observance of all mandatory legal requirements. The legal requirements are as follows. In New Mexico, highways, alleys, or roads shall not revert until such property has been duly declared by the political subdivision of the state in whom the property or property rights has vested, and that the highway is no longer needed for public purposes. Additionally, no property may be disposed at a value of less than $5,000 without going to the State Board of Finance for approval or following procedures adopted by the municipality under Chapter 3 of the state's municipal code. In the former case, there's no evidence presented that shows the value of the land being vacated. If the plat is approved without evaluation of the land, this would constitute reversible error under New Mexico versus UUI Bar Ranch. Similarly, without any evidence to the contrary, land necessarily carries value, and to give the land to a private business without charge implicates the anti-donation clauses of the state constitution. Within the city of Roswell, this determination is governed by Chapter 2 of the city code, and that was your late attachment. Specifically, it was enacted in Ordinance 24-03. Here, for the transfer of any real property to occur, first Section 2-201 requires that real property shall be determined to be not essential for any municipal purpose. The mayor and the city manager or his designee shall make this determination in writing and communicate the determination to the governing body as appropriate under this article. Here, there's no formal communication from the mayor or the city manager. In fact, the water department has today come forward and said they do not support the vacation because there are sewer lines running under the alley, and that is part of the property in question. The easement as described in the plat is insufficient in the water department's opinion for future needs regarding maintenance of the existing pipes without creating additional costs or liability for the water fund. Second, the support provided by engineering and sanitation is conditional and not fully reflected in the plat provided. But most importantly, the staff position is composed of all of these opinions combined and formalized by the no municipal purpose determination by the mayor and the city manager. And this has not yet occurred. And I stand for questions.
I have a question. The water department, was that a recent communication before this packet was ready? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Commissioners, questions?
So would it be wise then to table this until we got communication from the mayor or city manager?
I don't think it would be a bad idea if that's something that you think is, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can speak. So the law requires that it be made to the council, so it wouldn't necessarily appear in front of you guys. What you would say, so you're making a recommendation effectively. So you would simply say that we make this finding, like, yeah, the 9th Street isn't particularly helpful to anybody. We don't see an issue vacating. However, note that the manager and the mayor have not made this determination formally, and that would be perfectly sufficient.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So it really, you see what you see in front of you and make your determination. Apply the law to the facts, and the council has to figure it out from there.
We kind of give our recommendation with a caveat of the communication by the city manager or mayor.
Yep. Yeah, totally fair.
Thank you. Other questions? On the phone, commissioners?
This is Commissioner Gilmore. Not really a question, just my concern is loss of public right of way. The fact that it's real property and not residential or private is also a concern. And then prioritizing the needs of a private business over the communities is also a concern of mine, because I use Virginia quite often. And, you know, I feel like I sometimes use that street myself to get to Main Street. And so I think it would just be a loss of public right of way. And that was my comment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions or comments from commissioners of staff? Thank you, Ms. Vickers. All right, moving on. Let's move on to, okay, anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor of case VAC-25-0007, please state your name and your address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, staff. My name is Scott Hicks with Smith Engineering. We are the agent on behalf of Roswell Ford, who, as Meredith said, the owners are here tonight. So the owner, the property we're talking about is represented as well. Exciting things are happening right now at Roswell Ford. If you haven't been in that showroom since the flood, you need to go by and take a look. I was amazed at what they were able to accomplish in the short amount of time when they got reopened. That shop floor you could eat off of when they opened back up. It was amazing. So it's great to see that that's back in play after all that devastation downtown. And we all know how bad that was, and still is evident today. So we have big plans, more exciting plans to come, with hopefully your approval tonight will be a big step towards that process. A couple of things, kind of some background, and I really appreciate Mr. Nahar's commentary and support as well, because he discussed a lot of things that I was going to bring up as well. So you've already heard a lot of those. The pedestrian vehicle conflicts that are occurring, that potentially could occur in 9th Street is one of the main reasons that this is being brought to you tonight. The Roswell Ford has already improved some of the street already with some concrete work, valley gutter and new drives on the north side of that building. If we can continue this process, more to come on the north side of 9th Street as well. You'll see that. We've had extensive conversations with Rick Rhodes, Mr. Rhodes, who has a property next door, because this really affects him. And he actually signed the application after we met with him. He's totally on board with this. I personally spoke with all the utility companies. They are totally in support of it, have no opposition, I guess is the best way to say. They will have full access to their existing utilities as they are now. There is no water running in that alley. There is sewer, but there's no city water. I think that was stated earlier, and that's not the case. There's no water running in 9th Street either. So I think there may be some confusion there on that issue. The water runs on Virginia and in Maine. So the topic or the issue of not speaking to the mayor or the city manager. I personally did not know that this amendment to the code would try and be applied or would apply to this case. And that's on me, I guess. This was approved back in March of 24, but it's for real property. And if I had known that that was going to be presented, I would have certainly got in front of them, and we would have before tonight. I found this out at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. It was not part of the packet that was put up Friday night at 5 o'clock. I had it over the weekend. I had it for review Monday morning as well. That particular amendment to the code that Jessica mentioned was not part of that packet. I did get it. She was very nice and emailed it to me. But had I seen that, once I read it, had I seen that prior to that, I would question it applying to this case anyway, because we're talking about right of way, not real property. In my view, real property being a lot or a building on a lot is different than right of way. Typically, right of way is dedicated when a plat is created and approved, and that to the city or to the municipality. And in this case, back in 1891, when the North Spring River Addition was platted, those streets from 8th north for several blocks, including Maine to the west and Virginia on the east, was created in 1899 with that plat. So the lots and the rights of way were then dedicated. The right of way was dedicated to the city of Roswell at that time. So they didn't actually, I wasn't around back then, obviously, but typically there's no purchase by the city of that property initially. So they maintain it, they provide public use through there over the course of that right of way being in use. So it doesn't necessarily reflect real property. Now, when it's vacated in this case that we're asking, then it becomes real property to the adjoining parcels or owner or adjacent property owners, if you will. And in this case, 40 feet of that remaining 60 feet will go to the north properties and 20 feet will go to the south. And that's on that plat that's a part of your packet there. So that determines what the new property line will be. And Mr. Rhodes was all a part of that as well, so he's on board with that. At that time, it becomes taxable. It becomes real property, as Mr. Nahar mentioned. So I think that maybe clear up some of that confusion as well. Had I known that this was going to try and be applied to this case, I would have requested some time with the city manager and the mayor. Not knowing that until yesterday morning at 11, obviously we had no time to get with them and catch them up to speed on what was going on. So having said that, as Mr. Nahar pointed out, this has already been done in the area. The alley at Buffalo Wild Wings, I was a part of that in 2010. Prior to that, in 1981, and I have the plat, the north 20 feet of the 9th Street right-of-way was vacated by the city of Roswell from Virginia to Maine. It was vacated, and that property then became part of what is now Roswell Ford. So this has already been done in the same exact corridor that we're talking about. So we're just doing the same thing now with the remainder of the right-of-way. So it's nothing new. It happens all the time. It's a vacation rather than a sale, rather than a donation, rather than an exchange. It's a vacation of property that the city has maintained over the years of that use. So it's a little different. So I want to make sure we understand the distinction. The utility companies will have full access to the alleys, and there will be an easement from Maine to Virginia for access. Completely open all the way through. It'll be 20 feet wide between Maine and the alley. It would be 30 feet wide between Maine and Virginia. So Mr. Rhodes has access from Maine to his property there. Emergency access will always have, emergency vehicles will always have access through there. The public will have access as they come to Ford for service through there, and it will become a one-way direction from Maine to Virginia. That will help a lot with the potential conflicts with the vehicle and pedestrians that we're seeing now. Nothing changes as far as utilities, and we will provide, the owners will provide the city sanitation department and those utility companies with any access via a lock, padlock key, whatever, Knox box key for the fire department for the alleys on either side of that block. So nothing changes there. And I spoke with Abraham personally too at Solid Waste, and he's fine with this. He has no problem. We'll coordinate where the dumpsters will be for his pickup for Ford when this gets developed further to the north. I spoke with the owners behind the Shell station. They had no opposition to this case as well. So I thought we covered all the bases. And we certainly can get with the mayor and the city manager before the council meeting, if that is what you decide to do with your conditional approval, if we can, hopefully we'll get it. So we can do that. It's just I couldn't do it between 11 and tonight, 11 o'clock yesterday and tonight. So again, I appreciate everybody's time. Mr. Nehart's comments. I'll stand for any questions, and then if anybody else wants to speak, they can come up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just a quick question. Ms. Vickers mentioned water department made those comments today. They didn't make those comments to you when you talked to them before?
No, we met with engineering department, Mr. Nehar and Mr. McCornack. Early on, we met with them. We had to get their input before proceeding, because if they were like, no, we can't do this, there wouldn't be no point in going further from that point.
Gotcha. Any other questions, commissioners?
Well, I would just say, Scott, it would seem to me that we're dealing with a little bit different situation than just the vacation of an alley to utility easement, because you're planning to build a structure over this property line.
In the 9th Street only, not the alleys.
Yeah.
Alleys will remain.
So the 9th Street, you're saying, it really wasn't the city's property. It was just a right of way. And so it just is going to be absorbed back into the property, essentially is what I'm hearing, that it'll be absorbed into the north and the south properties with no exchange of value for that property, but you're intending to build across that.
They are intending to build some, yes, across there, but it will be built to allow that access through. That will be open on the south end of that structure. As far as value, I would take into consideration what Mr. Nehar presented to you about the maintenance savings, and that would be ongoing from this point on. Roswell Ford is planning on redoing that street anyway, and that will be on their dime.
It essentially becomes part of their property. It's no longer a street.
That's right.
It's not a right of way. It's part of Roswell Ford's property.
Right. And taxes will be based on that.
And taxes would be based on that. But your proposal is that they receive that property at no cost to them.
Right. Just like any other vacation of any alley or right of way in town. That's correct. That's how it works. That property
seems a little different since you are building across that property and not just vacating it for an alleyway that seems to be a different setup to me. I mean, does that not seem to have some different, parameters since you are building a structure across there?
Well, we couldn't build, obviously, we could be building right of way.
Yeah.
That's right. But
This is Commissioner Gilmore on the phone. So once a structure is built, it will become real property. Is that correct?
it becomes real property the moment that everything is approved and vacated.
1 second, please. Let's get some.
I do want to clarify, Mr. Hicks, are you an attorney at law?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, so your legal opinion is based on?
I didn't say I had a legal opinion.
Well, you're interpreting the statute on.
Sure. Yeah.
Or the ordinance.
Right.
So the opinion of the city is that, and of Black's Law Dictionary and the state of New Mexico courts, is that interests in land are real property.
Okay.
So an easement is in fact a real property right.
Well, an easement's different than a right of way. Easements.
A right of way is a form of an easement.
If that's what you're saying, sure.
I guess my only concern would be that there's no real value assigned to this piece of property, and no exchange of any type of.
Right, as the case with Buffalo Wild Wings when that alley was vacated, there was no exchange there.
Yeah, but that was an alley that was then put as an easement. There's an easement on that property, and nothing was built across that.
But
so there was no improvement of the Buffalo Wild Wings by the inclusion of that alleyway.
There was also the right of way that was vacated in 9th Street in 1981, and there was improvement for that. That car wash that they just took down was in that 20 feet. So it's happened here in the same corridor before.
Sure, just not in front of this commission.
I have a question, and we'll go back to staff and legal. So for that, and for more than anything, just to make sure it's done correctly, I want to make sure that we're applying everything done in the right way. So would they need to go back to city manager and mayor for a approval letter from them?
Mr. Chair, no. The legal opinion is that for the ultimate, may I give a little background? So as you're aware, the city had a large audit, a special audit conducted where we had about 27 findings over 250 pages. And the second audit finding was significant anti-donation issues with the city. The anti-donation clause is a constitutional provision that states that succinctly that a government entity such as the city of Roswell cannot give something away for free. Now, a real property interest is something of value, and so whenever we give it away, there has to be some form of exchange for that. The commissioner had touched on earlier. Now, the real question in front of you guys is, what do you recommend or what do you not recommend? So so legally speaking, you would say we can't recommend no value, and they'd have a month to get with city management and figure that out. But it doesn't affect your ability to rule on what's presented in front of you today.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission on the phone? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you. Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case VAC 25-0007? Please come forward, state your name, address.
Toby Gross, 1316 Alicia Lane, Roswell, New Mexico. I am an owner agent. I'd like to just speak a little bit on behalf of this project. The Ford franchise is so excited that we're willing to build them a new facility, modern. It's actually the first in the country. They just changed their prototype for this year, and we're first in the hopper to get all the new goodies and fascia. It'll be a beautiful store when we're done. We do not have enough land to do what Ford wants us to do without this. I can tell you that we don't do anything halfway. You can look at anything that the Crumlin Auto Group has done in the city of Roswell, and it's done right. It doesn't stop short of a dollar to get it done. We're about to put millions and millions of dollars in that site over there, and we can do it without what we're asking here. But it's dangerous. It's not right. The technicians are backing cars out into the street. They've been doing that for years. I know there's been many people backed into or come around that corner and wreck. There's been accidents there. We're trying to stop all that. We're trying to do it right. That would be a one-way street down to Virginia. It's not a closed access. It just turns into a one-way street. There's no return to Maine from Virginia across. But there's no private individual in this town of Roswell that I'm aware of that invests the type of money that the Crumlin Group does into things. We're building a $5 million car wash out west. We're building a $15 million Hyundai store out west. We're putting $18 million into this Ford store. That's huge growth, jobs, taxes, opportunity for a lot of people. And Mr. Crumlin continuously donates to almost everything in the city, sports, everything, you name it. We're writing checks every day to help the city in sponsorship. So we're a good citizens is what we are. And I, for one, I'm going to retire pretty soon. I'd like to build that Ford store and be proud of it, that I can drive by and say, you know, look what I did. I built all his car dealerships that he has now, as well as many other buildings in Roswell for doctors, lawyers, subways, lots of pretty things here in Roswell. And I've been on the commission for 8 years. I sat on that commission. So I'm just telling you, I want to see Roswell grow. I want to see people like Tom to continue to invest in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we would all agree that Mr. Crumlin is an asset to the community, has done great things, and obviously a very successful businessman. What's the thinking then if you're looking at investing like $15 million into this project? What is the big holdup of getting an assessed value on this real property and purchasing it?
We were never aware that there was any form of finances to change hands. Had we been, then we would have negotiated that accordingly. We had no idea until 11 o'clock yesterday morning.
And now, what would be the hindrance of getting an assessed value and making a purchase?
Well, it'll certainly affect how we look at it, but if the procedure is to get it appraised and agree on that appraisal or make an offer towards that appraisal, which would most people would do, it would certainly render the answer to the donation clause, anti-donation clause. I don't see, we'd have to look at that and see how financially it affects our project. We're also going to have to look at, do we want to invest $15 million over there if we don't get this done?
Sure.
It doesn't fit without the street. We need the property, and honestly, it's in disarray. I don't know if you've been down that street or whatever. It's not a good street. It's not good parking. It's not good driving. It's not graded properly to drain properly. We got proof. We got $8 million worth of proof of that in a flood through the building.
Well, I don't think you could blame that on 9th Street, but if we can, I'll make a case for. I'll make a case for my basement over on Pennsylvania getting flooded. I'll blame that on 9th Street as well.
Yeah, I'm in. Anyway,
Okay.
if we have to provide the city with compensation for that street, then we have to evaluate that, what the value of that is to us.
I think the savings is not having to maintain that street by the city. And of course, if indeed Roswell Ford is going to be doing that, then I think there's a significant savings in that aspect. They're not going to have to pave it. They're not going to have to fill the potholes. They're not going to have to deal with the curb and gutter or anything else that needs to go in that area. So
I 100% agree with you, and we're about to spend a fortune paving it and grading it correctly, and curb and gutters. And the valley gutter, we just replaced 100 feet of it from 2 feet to 4 feet with the city engineer's permission to do so at our own expense, because it doesn't drain.
Can I just get clarification from legal? I heard you to say, Jessica, that that state, like the state constitution, if with the non whatever anti-donation clause, like it, I'm hearing that say that we could vote to approve this and it could move forward, but it could be nullified because it's deemed as an anti-donation situation.
Yeah, potentially. I think there's no issue with. Again, the board just makes the determination based on the facts applying the law. As far as the funding side goes, they've definitely got a month to get that together. And I mean, if it comes in appraised at less than 10,000, that's actually done in house. It's not even a council vote.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I really do. I was unfortunately found myself in Fort of Bernie this last week, having to get some emergency repairs done. It's a fantastic facility. Sounds like this is something that you're wanting to bring your facility up to. I think it's all great, really good ideas. It's just getting all the logistics taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, commissioners?
Yeah, I think that, come ahead, Tom, I just wanted to make a couple of comments that I think the value that we receive in the upgrade in the street, the additional improvements that Ford will make in that building, and the tax revenues that we will receive from those improvements, and the overall improvements of a Ford dealership. I've been in a number of vacations of streets. Typically, the value just comes to the middle ground, and that's the deal. So what little we might receive in the way of value for that street, I think is overshadowed by the value that Crumlin is going to make to the property and to the street. So I think we're talking about nickels and dimes, but I certainly wouldn't want to forfeit the improvements of a wonderful new Ford dealership for a few $100s on a street.
I think we can all agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
We just don't want to overstep what is legally able for us to do in donating a piece of property to a private entity.
Yeah, I think we can point out the value of the street improvements and even calculate some benefits on taxes and revenue and gross receipts tax we receive on the sale of their products. So I think it's a small price for the total value that we receive.
Tom, do you want to in favor of the case, I'm assuming?
I think
somebody on phone?
Yes, this is Commissioner Gilmore. The anti-donation clause is a big concern of mine. I don't want there to be backlash about that. I think that we should look into that before proceeding. I'm also concerned about it turning into real property once they add, a building. And the loss of public right-of-way, increased traffic on Virginia, and the sewer line running under the alley is also a concern of mine. So I just wanted to let the commissioners know my concerns.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, commissioners and staff and people here.
Tom, if you would please just state your name and address for the record.
Tom Crumlin, number 6 Sierra Blanca Circle, Roswell, New Mexico. Been a resident here almost 30 years. I have spent countless of millions of dollars in this community that I have decided to call home. We've had numerous times we could have sold our entire dealerships to somebody else. I don't think that's right. I think it's right that the people that help me become successful in this town, that they're going to benefit from the ownership of our stores. That has nothing to do with what's in front of you today. But there, Toby mentioned it. There is not one thing we've done in this city that has detrimented anything to the city. Some of you are been here residents more than 30 years, and some of the staff is, but I don't think the attorney is. And if you remember what was out on West 2nd, it was nothing. There was 28 acres there that they couldn't sell for years. And we took a chance on that, and we developed that, and we developed 4 beautiful stores out there. We put a new state-of-the-art Toyota store in. We put a new state-of-the-art Honda store in, new state-of-the-art Hyundai store, Nissan store in. We are in the process of building a new Hyundai store over there. Not only here in Roswell, we have 2 stores that we've done the same thing for in Carlsbad, New Mexico. You know, I'm not here to argue whether you guys should make your ruling to whatever we're going to do. I'm going to tell you that I'm a businessman, and we're going to find ways to do this. There's this concern that we're going to build on this. Do we have any, are we looking to build on this on the street?
No. Well, we're gonna put an awning.
An awning at whatever.
Fire marshal, at what height?
Right. Because we believe that will add to the aesthetics of that entrance coming in 9th Street. It'll be the most, I think it'll be beautiful for this to be an entrance to come to our service departments. There's not going to be the congestion that there is now. We've already eliminated a bunch of buildings on the north side. There was an old car wash there. There was an old other buildings there. Those are gone. We have plans to build some new shops over there off of Virginia. Can we do this without this? Yes. It's not going to be the way that we want it. We can make a snake type of a road around it. That's not going to be what the city wants. We can do it if that's what we want to do. Ford came to me after the flood. Before the flood, we had drawings to build a new Ford store on West 2nd to move everything out there. We didn't have time. We don't have the luxury of being a government agency and letting buildings sit vacant that have been flooded. We were on it, and we had our floodwaters out within 4 days. We tore all of the repairs out. We got with Ford. We said, we can't wait 3 years to build a new Ford store. And I don't think the residents of this town can. So they said, we will approve you going back into this Ford store, but we're going to have you build this store with all the new, I call them sacred elements, that Ford says you must use this kind of windows. You must use this kind of lighting. We will do all the things that it will be the newest, brightest Ford store in New Mexico, probably within 4-state area when we get done with it. That's not how we started off this. It's what we were forced to do. You know, the floods came in. Toby did a wonderful job. And one of you, I think you mentioned that you had your Ford into our store just recently. You can eat off the floor in it. We redid the service department. We redid the parts department. And the only reason that the sales department isn't done, we're working out of trailers right now because we didn't stop doing business. You didn't stop collecting taxes on what we do. We kept open. We kept every one of our employees. I didn't lay anybody off during this. I didn't lay them off during the snowstorm we had. I didn't lay them off during COVID. We have kept people in jobs in this town. I'm asking for some compensation, and I think it's small amount of compensation for what we're going to add over there. Anti-donation clauses. Hey guys, I mean, if that's what you want to die on that hill, then die on that hill. If that's something, but you guys are the commission. And I know we got another hurdle with city council and the mayor. But how can they stop progress when they're not doing progress? When they are hurting this city by not opening the convention center, the library, the museum. And Mr. Hess, you know, he came in here and he lives right in back of our Honda store. I got to tell you, Mr. Hess came up at the last hour and tried to find things what were wrong with us building a new Honda store. So what he found after I went to all the people there and they agreed on what we were doing, and we had 20-foot easement. What was it? 20, but and then what did we? So he lives in back of it to his benefit. He changed that we have now 125-foot easement there. We did it. I didn't want to do it. He has stifled the growth of that store by that 125 feet. I hope that I live long enough that I don't need it. Okay. I don't know. But he found that at the 11th hour. He's coming to you guys at the 11th hour. When we originally put this in front of the P&Z, there was no consideration to have Mr. Rhodes on that application. Is that correct? But he said we had to have him. So we went to Mr. Rhodes, he agreed with us, and we did it. He said, which I think I kind of took offense to when, excuse me? Okay, but you know, I took offense to when Scott was up here and he has the nerve to say, "Are you an attorney? Are you a businessman? Do you really care about Roswell? Or is it, no, this is black, this is white. And you can tell me, oh, I'm an attorney, like you're better than me or you're better than Scott.
With
You
all
are
due
here."
respect, Mr. Crumlin, I know, I know you have a lot of emotion.
Yeah, I'll wind it down. But you know, all we try to do is something to improve our community. You don't even know what we've got in the works to try to help younger people in this community. We've got millions of dollars set aside in my estate. Don't stifle me on something. Don't stifle the kids in this community, because this is all about it. And you can say, oh, he crybaby, you know, he's going, how much do you really think it's going to change my lifestyle if you approve this or don't? I want you to improve it because I think it's a great opportunity for the city of Roswell to shine. We need businesses coming into this town that shine, that people come here and say, I like that. That's what we want to be. I want Hobbs to say, that's the kind of store we need. You know, I want Carlsbad to be that. But you guys, I've said enough. I'm a little fired up about it because I think we're doing some wonderful things for Roswell. I really do. And I think this is part of it. And if there's any ulterior motives, come and see me. But if there's something that we need to do, whether that be, hey, we don't want this, we want this, tell us. We're pretty good about adapting. That's what we've done since we've been in Roswell. We will adapt to whatever you tell us to do. We're asking a simple request. May not be legal, okay, but it may be the right thing to do. And we're not trying to steal something here, but thanks for listening.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Lassard. And I appreciate Mr. Crumlin's comments there. Isn't it possible for us to approve this vacation with contingency of the review of the antitrust or anti-donation clause? I assume all that's going to get taken care of in the whole process. Our job as a commission is to decide whether we will agree with the vacation. Am I correct about that?
I'll
Yes,
refer.
Commissioner, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. So the commission today is making a recommendation up or down or somewhere in between based on what was presented to you. So yeah, you can
Yes.
absolutely do that. Yeah, this isn't a binding decision. Under state law, only the governing body can approve plats with vacations.
Right, that's what I mean, is that, I mean, we can approve this. This is going to go another few steps before this ever happens. Our job is to decide on whether to send it to council.
Commissioner, it will be going to council either way. You're just making a
Right.
recommendation for or against it, just to clarify
Yeah,
that.
and that's what I mean. I don't know that we all need to talk about the anti-donation, all of that. I understand that that's an issue for people, but our job is to recommend it to council.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
No, I do think that if we make a recommendation, we should just put language in there to pending the approval or involvement of the mayor and city manager in the discussion.
I'll entertain a motion.
Based on the land use and zoning considerations, finding of fact, conclusions of law surrounding the land uses, regulations established by the zoning ordinance, materials presented, testimony received, I move that we recommend to City Council the case VAC 25007 as presented.
Are we going to talk about the list from the engineer? Do we need to include that?
Chair Aguilar, Commissioner Henderson, I didn't hear your recommendation.
Well, the recommendation is that we approve
Okay, thank you.
the case VAC 25007 based on the finding of fact and all the considerations that I just read. This is a recommendation to the City Council for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Please identify yourself.
Commissioner Lassard.
We have a motion from Commissioner Henderson and a second from Commissioner Lassard. This requires a roll call vote, correct?
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Holman,
Yes.
Commissioner Gilmore,
No.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Chair Aguilar,
Yes.
Commissioner Lassard.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is approved 5-1. Passes.
Congratulations, Kremlin. One more hill. One more to go. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for your night. You can still stick around for the party if you want. There's cookies at the end, I hear. All right, moving on. H, announcements. Ms. Hildreth. Hey
Thank
guys,
you,
have a good
Chair
night.
Aguilar. Commissioners, we'll make this really quick. Just a reminder, the introduction to the Roswell Comprehensive Master Plan meeting is here in this Community Development Conference Room at 500 North Main Street, Suite 100 in the SunWest Center. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, from 5 to 7 p.m. The public's invited. This is for the public. The next Roswell Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 6th, 2025 at 6 o'clock p.m. And the May May 12th through the 17th, 2025, the Comprehensive Master Plan Public Engagement Charrette will be here in the Community Development Conference Room. And that 5-day charrette will be a studio, and you can come and go as you please and provide input. We really want the public to turn out for it. So please tell your friends and family and colleagues to come on down.
Thank you,
And
Meredith.
that's all I have. Thank you for your time and attention tonight.
Any public comments? Nobody? I think we're all done. Right, it is 8:09. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you. Good job, everybody. I was really hungry. I was talking about.
Sir, thank you very much. You know, I went on. Thank you very much for all that you do. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for supporting this. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your words and, you know, took it off. So.